Hello, everyone. We studied the installation of point-type fire detectors last lesson, and in this lesson we continue to study the installation of linear beam smoke fire detectors and cable-type line temperature fire detectors. The linear beam smoke detector is widely used in large spaces, such as the atrium of shopping malls. The cable-type linear temperature fire detector is generally installed in cable tunnels, cable shafts, cable sandwiches, cable bridges, and other places. Let's first learn the installation steps of the linear beam smoke fire detector. First, install the transmitter, then measure the receiver installation position, and then install the receiver. The specific steps are: Step 1. Fixing the base plate. Firstly, install expansion bolts on the wall according to the mounting hole dimensions. Rotate the knobs on the base plate to separate the adjustment plate from the base plate, and securely store the knobs and springs. Next, thread the wire through the detector's wire inlet hole. If the wire conduit is embedded, thread it through the base plate's embedded wire inlet hole. If the wire conduit is surface-mounted, thread it through the base plate's surface-mounted wire inlet hole. Then fix the detector chassis to the wall. The second step is to install the adjustment plate. Put the spring back on the chassis, align the small positioning column at the bottom of the adjustment plate with the positioning groove of the chassis, and turn the knob. The third step is to install the launcher. The two positioning claws at the bottom of the launcher are aligned with the notch position of the adjustment plate and inserted on the base, and the clockwise tightening is enough. The fourth step is to measure the installation position of the receiver. Connect the 1 and 3 terminal blocks of the receiver to the DC 24V power cord, connect the power supply of the receiver and the transmitter, and move the receiver on the same horizontal plane relative to the transmitter until the red indicator light and yellow indicator light of the receiver are extinguished or the yellow indicator light is lit. Write down this position, the position where the receiver should be fixed. The fifth step is to install the receiver. Before installation, the expansion bolt should be installed at the above measurement position, and the receiver can be installed by repeating the first to third steps. Next, let's take a look at the specific installation requirements of the linear beam smoke detector. 1. The vertical distance from the beam axis of the detector to the ceiling should be 0.3 meters to 1.0 meters. And the height from the ground should not exceed 20 meters. 2. The horizontal distance between the two adjacent groups of detectors should not be greater than 14 meters, and the horizontal distance between the detector and the sidewall should not be greater than 7 meters. It should not be less than 0.5 meter, and the distance between the transmitter and receiver of the detector should not exceed 100 meters. 3. The detector shall be provided on a fixed structure. 4. The detector setting should ensure that its receiving end is avoided from direct sunlight and artificial light sources. Transmitters and receivers are prone to false alarms if direct daylight hits. 5. The optical path between the transmitter and the receiver shall be free of occlusions or sources of interference. 6. Transmitters and receivers should be firmly fitted and should not cause displacement. 7. When selecting a reflective detector, it should be ensured that the detector can respond correctly when conducting a simulation test at any part between the reflector and the detector. Let's first learn the installation steps of the cable-type linear temperature fire detector. Cable-type linear temperature fire detectors are generally installed in cable tunnels, cable shafts, cable interlayers, cable bridges, and other places. So what are the specific requirements for the installation of cable-type linear temperature fire detectors? 1. Determine the installation position and laying method of the detector and the setting of the sampling hole according to the requirements of the design documents and the product instruction manual. The detector shall be fixed on the protected object by a special fixing device. 2. The sampling pipe should be fixed firmly. In buildings with passing beams and space supports, the sampling pipe should be fixed on passing beams and space supports. 3. The detector should be installed continuously without connectors. If intermediate wiring is needed, it must be connected with a special junction box. When the detector is installed and laid, it should not be rigidly bent or torsioned to avoid the impact of gravity extrusion, and the bending radius of the detector should be greater than 0.2 meters. 4. When cable-type linear temperature fire detectors are installed on cable bridges, transformers, and other equipment, contact arrangements should be adopted. When laying on various belt conveying devices, it is advisable to lay near the excessive hot spot of the device. 5. For linear temperature-sensitive fire detectors laid under the ceiling, the distance from the detector to the ceiling should be 0.1 meter. And the protection radius of the detector should meet the protection radius requirements of point-type temperature-sensitive fire detectors. The distance between detector and wall should be 1 to 1.5 meters. In this lesson, we learned the installation of linear beam smoke detectors and cable-type linear temperature fire detectors. In the next lesson, we will continue to learn the installation of other types of detectors. Thank you for watching.